Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here. Welcome back to another video for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, and in this one I want to go through some more information that has recently dropped, some of the things that of course have been shared on the social media account. For those of you guys that maybe haven't necessarily been keeping completely up to date, then there's definitely been some cool new stuff shared recently. Talking about a change to the Dangos system, seeing some of the followers in action, and even some nice quality of life updates. So in this video, here are a few things you might have missed recently. If you guys do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think of some of these changes, and of course don't forget to keep it locked because we've got plenty more Sunbreak stuff coming your way. So, to begin with, let's talk about tasty Dangos. Of course, Dangos are the things that we eat in Monster Hunter Rise. It is the canteen. We go through and we sort of select the ones we like for different boosts. But in Monster Hunter Rise, they're introducing something called hopping skewers. You guys will be familiar with the fact that, of course, in Rise base, you select 3 different balls for your different Dangos, and of course that then creates your stacking bonuses. However, the hopping skewer system basically gives you the opportunity to improve a couple of them at the cost of another. As you can see, when you activate the hopping skewer, they basically make it so you have the opportunity to enhance 2 Dango. You can see that the top one has 2 arrows, the second one has a single arrow, meanwhile the third one has a down arrow. Now unfortunately, they don't actually go through and sort of show off the menu, so we can't actually sort of see this in too greater detail, but what you can notice is in this situation, they are selected on the bottom one, which of course is Dango Slugger, and by default that makes it easier to stun monsters. That is the level 2 bonus. But when they activate hopping skewers, you can of course see the negative side of things. That then boosts up to a 60% activation chance, and you now have the level 1 version of Dango Slugger, making it the lesser version basically. It makes it slightly easier to stun monsters. So in this situation, of course, this is basically just dropping down the level, basically making it so that it's not actually a bad skill per se, it is just a lesser version of that. Quite whether some other ones will sort of have different behavior. I mean, for example, if you have something like Moxie, I'm not sure whether it's just going to be like, haha, you're not actually getting Moxie, maybe you just get a bad time. Honestly, we'll have to wait and see, but you can sort of see there, this degrades the bottom one. Meanwhile, the top ones, of course, are much better. Unfortunately, again, they didn't hover over it, so we don't actually get a chance to sort of see what those are, whether it is just one of those ones similar to, say, Slugger, whereby it just gives you the higher version. We see Dango Bulker going from level 2 to level 4, we see Dango Booster go from level 2 to level 3, but whether, of course, they then add in, say, additional bonuses, as, say, like secondary bonuses, that could be really cool. But either way, this is a new way to mess around in the canteen. And of course, we then have the fantastic canteen animation. Moving on from there, we then got to look at some of the followers in action. We of course see a hunter rocking the Seregios gear, Seregios greatsword, running with Fiorane, of course, running with sword and shield, looking super cool. We definitely sort of see how active they are. Of course, Fiorane getting some nice Metsu Shorigekis, which is fantastic. I mean, it looks like she's getting more Metsu Shorigekis than some hunters out there, which of course is incredible. But we also get to see that they can indeed go down. So they are not just like an infinite force. They can sort of drop to their knees, but you can then go over and revive them. Interestingly, it seems like you slap Fiorane's bum to get her back up. But anyway, that is beside the point.
All right, back in action.
But they did say, of course, this will not detract from your total cots. In addition to this, something else interesting, of course, is that we know that the followers have pre-made loadouts, but we do see towards the end of this clip, Fiorane running with a charge blade. So whether this suggests you can customize their loadouts in a very sort of similar manner to how you can customize your Palicos and your Palamutes, or whether they have sort of a couple of pre-made loadouts, maybe depending on the quest, depending on what you're fighting. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure right now, but it definitely does seem from the gameplay that they are not tied to the one weapon we have just seen them. So for example, Admiral Gallius might not just be Greatsword, or Master Arlo might not just be Gunlance. So definitely something to look forward to. In addition to this, I always love their drawings. They put out a nice little sort of a tutorial graphic with these 2 pictures here, of course saying that you can swap your switch skills with the different scrolls. We already know this one, but for any of you wondering how switch skill evade works, once you have pressed the swap button, pressing B will allow you to evade in any direction that you choose. They're also introducing a new quality of life improvement in Sunbreak, where you can lock your favourite talismans, preventing you from accidentally selling or otherwise losing them. So those nice weakness exploit ones that you've been hanging on to, definitely keep them safe. And then finally, to round things out, of course, we did get a look at some Seregios in action, and some of you guys may have noticed the bleed effect. Of course, we know that Seregios can inflict bleed, but according to the Japanese Twitter post, bleeding effect has actually changed ever so slightly in Sunbreak. When bleeding, actions that you perform will fill up the bleeding build-up gauge, which then translates to 1 instance of extra damage inflicted when you get hit with an attack. You can still crouch to remove it, but this seems to sort of be, as opposed to just continual ticks of damage, instead you're sort of building up this gauge, which then again when you get hit just does additional damage. So definitely still sounds lethal, definitely still sounds like something you need to make sure you get rid of, whether that be through crouching on an item, but either way the behaviour has changed slightly. But for the time being, that is it. That's a little rundown on a few more things you might have missed recently. Again, be sure to keep it locked because we'll be going over plenty more stuff very soon. Of course, hopefully now they've gone through all the weapon previews, we get a trailer next month. We are getting very, very close to the release of Sunbreak. I am very excited. But in the meantime, if you guys have missed some of our recent videos, you can check out one of these ones on screen and keep it locked for plenty more.